flies into Sydney to catch up with the founder, and he's also the CEO of Physio Inq. It's a mouthful, but his name is Jonathan Moody. Jonathan, welcome to The Informer.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, this is a great story. Young guy, I think maybe from your primary school days. Did you take from mum or dad? From your primary school days, you had this entrepreneurial spirit. And there's a story that I was reading. It said young Jonathan started, selling mushrooms, $1 bags, door to door, and you didn't mince around. You knew how to make a buck.
I always had itchy feet from a very young age, and I was delivering 300 to 600 newspapers to my local area, and folding in as many brochures into those newspapers as you humanly can, because you got an extra 5 cents per 100 for each of the brochures that you used to fold in. And I really probably took after my older brother.
Is that right?
Brutally honest. Yeah, like he had a milk run from a young age and a paper run from a young age. My dad was in defence, worked in the Air Force. My mum owned her own shop in haberdashery, so she was a small business owner. So a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, but my brother had an insatiable appetite to make sure his pocket money was always well stocked.
I like the column A and the column B. Column B is dad, is that right, or is it column A?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, column B is the process, slightly more conservative, but confident father.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But you've taken all those skills and you've watched what mum and dad bring to the table, and you've taken it on, as you said, and added your brother to it. I tell you what, it's a pretty exciting journey. The budding entrepreneur couldn't but help succeed. I know you and I spoke about the GFC just a moment ago before we started the conversation, but it seems to me that primary school wasn't a problem, high school wasn't a problem. You ended up, what were you doing? Painting garbage bins, carpet removal business. And you did that with a friend. Then you decided, where did the genesis for physiotherapy crop up?
Yeah, so physiotherapy, I was always keen to be a professional rugby player, and I hurt my neck when I was.
Are we talking rugby union or rugby league?
Rugby union. Okay. I often joke, look, I went to a Catholic school down in Canberra, and rugby union was the sport they played.
Yeah.
And hurt my neck, was unable to continue playing, wanted to stay around the sport, and so got into physio in order to try to achieve that. I didn't fit in well in the university environment. I was too interested in what I was doing, making a buck and being outside of class. I went through 1,000 jobs, just trying to get as many experiences as I humanly could while I was at university, working at pubs, being a cocktail waiter, doing anything that I could to understand every human being in every walk of life. I was very obsessed with it.
That's a fantastic thing, actually. People might see that as a negative. I see it as a tremendous positive, because I remember interviewing someone years ago who started on the ground floor at Holden and ended up being the guy that created the super racing team that they had, and he harnessed all the great drivers and brought them across. And one of the reasons why he succeeded, he said, because I knew what every role meant throughout the organisation. I knew who to access if I needed a spare part. He knew them by name. He had that fantastic attention to detail. And I think in some respects, there's a little bit of that, or a whole lot of that crept into your makeup and DNA, because you've been quite phenomenal in what you've been able to do. I mentioned a budding entrepreneur. Back in 2006, after you came out of uni, you didn't stop. Take up the cudgels and tell the story.
Yeah, so my partner, fiance Irene, and myself, we were going down to Woolies to effectively just get some food for that night at her parents' place, and we went into, I think I had to get script filled at the local GP centre, and we effectively walked out with the lease, of a room. And, I'd only been out of uni for 18 months, but it was just one of those things where I needed to have my own path and my own journey. It was always going to be the way that it was. I have an immense amount of respect for people from all walks of life because I've been a labourer, I've helped out carpenters, I've been a roofer, I've dug holes, I've worked behind the bar, I've washed dishes, I've cleaned floors. I've got an immense amount of respect for every path that people take. And, for me, it was about forging my own path and learning from all of those experiences that I had. Working with people was something that was very special to me in the past. I loved working at a public bar because you could listen to the monologues of the most interesting and fascinating people that society has in their the various communities.
But Jonathan, you're a great listener too, and a great watcher. You're just following up on what you're talking about, because later in your business, you were watching one of your staff members, and they were telling you a story, a very personal story, and you thought enough of that to decide, let's branch out there, because there's a real need for that service. So you've been, as I say, watching and listening and monitoring for a lifetime, haven't you?
I often think about it as, a deck of cards, that you've got your own deck of cards, but everybody else has theirs. There's a lot more aces out there than there is just inside your own deck. And if you can keep, listening and learning from all of these experiences that exist outside your own, micro environment, you're going to be a lot smarter because you can draw upon everybody else's experience. But you can get, intellectual property that impacts your world so quickly, and you can find great ideas anywhere. And so it's really about, for me, it's about creating environments that gets people to speak up, it gets people to follow their passion. And if I can, be the architect that designs a process to be able to fulfill what their passion is, then that's my job done.
How many clinics do you have now? Because you didn't stop at one, did you?
Yeah, we didn't stop at one. We scaled pretty quickly. We got to 10 practices within about 8 years. We're currently now at, we've got 12 official sites. We've just brought on 4 more sites into our network as well in the past 6 weeks. So, we're at 16 practices. We also have a mobile and in-home area of our business that is quite substantial. We have in excess of 200 people that work inside that branch of the business. So the genesis of it has been, let people chase their passions. Let's be an environment that can build the support network, the architecture to allow them to flourish. I often joke with new staff members that come on board. I say, what's it like to work for this to be the last company you ever work for? And there's a truth to that for me, that, their journey might not be an administration, worker. It might not be a physio. It might be anything. It could be in business development, marketing, HR, IT. But how can we find a pathway that will grow with them and keep these awesome human beings that might not want to be shackled to the one place for the next 30 years in terms of a role.
You've taken that to another level because you've added so many mobile clinics now to your makeup, haven't you?
Yeah, and the vertical integration of services is the economic way to say it. But in reality, we found that we were finding all of these great allied health professionals in other skill sets, speech pathologists, exercise physiologists. We didn't vertically integrate for $1. We vertically integrated because we knew that there were so many great humans out there, and how can we support them? Fantastic. So it's around the human element, not the economics. The economics will follow if you get a good structure in place, but it's all about the people.
Listen, it might be about the people, but you've been extraordinarily focused, and you've been rewarded accolade after accolade. You've had a bundle of awards over the years, and people are impressed by what you're doing. But I'm seriously impressed by where you see there's a need, and you're not frightened to go out and make it happen. You've taken the advice of people around you, and this in-clinic care is a part of what you do. But you believe this is a great way to support the lives of millions of others if you do it smarter, and you're working at that right now. What's next? What's the next big thing for Physio Inc?
The next big thing for us is to understand that service can be delivered in clinic, in home, or online. And by saying, you know, discover that that's the way it is, we want to make sure that if you're getting it in clinic, in home, or online, the level of service is the same. The quality of outcome is the same. You know, I'm happy to, you know, publicly almost give away our goals, because it's all about execution. At the end of the day, I know how we're going to execute this. I know how we're going to make it happen. I like getting it out there on the public record. It keeps me accountable. We're going to get heavily involved with redesigning how aged care is delivered. Super passionate about that. I've been, for the last 2 years waiting for the Royal Commission to come out with the findings that we've always known to be true, that person-centred care needs to be in the mix much more than it is. I can't wait for us to showcase what we're doing for rural and remote health access. Suffice to say that the hybrid of technology and in-person care is going to be, I know that we're going to perfect it over the next 5 to 10 years. I say that with a level of certainty, that it's not an arrogance. It's the people that I'm surrounding myself with are so capable at actually solving this wicked problem of Australian healthcare, where it's hard to access care out in the bush.
Well, we have the tyranny of distance, and have had for a lifetime, one of the biggest countries in the world. Has the improvement in computing power and technology allowed you and helped you to do or to pursue some of the strategies that you're pursuing at the moment?
Undoubtedly. 20 years ago, you had to design all of the software applications yourself. The amount of money that you had to invest in actually getting a fit for purpose product that you actually, were able to do the service was painful. Now, you'd be mad to develop the stuff in-house, because there are so many tech companies fighting over market share and the price is being driven down. There's no inflation in tech. There's deflation everywhere.
Got it.
And you're coming out with these products, for pennies on the dollar compared to what you used to have to do to build them yourselves. And so it's really about how you get these programs to talk to one another, how you can have orchestration platforms that just integrate and make the experience seamless for staff and the clients.
The government's talking to you, or you are getting them to listen?
I have an interesting relationship with government, only because of, that I understand that they need to work via a process. I understand that. But we're an agile business.
That's your dad coming through, correct?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. Being from a RAF family, I understand you wake up at a certain time, but there's being an agile business. It's hard to find the clutch with government. It's hard to find that thing that then works. If we need to pivot and the contract or the tender or the grant is rigid, it's hard to come to some sort of level where we agree. Yeah. The wheels of government moves really slowly. So we're trying to figure out how we can operate such that there may be some sort of clutch that will join what they're trying to achieve and what we know it needs to move towards as being the piece. What that actually looks like in practice is that we need to be fiscally prudent so that we pay for the clutch, i.e. if access is an issue out in the bush, technological access, I can guarantee you that the government won't pay for that. I'll pay for that. If there's an issue to do with we're not going to be reimbursed for travel, we're not going to be reimbursed for plane flights, I'll deal with that. There's going to be a level of tax, because the system hasn't changed, that I'm going to need to bear in order to be that clutch to actually get that integration of systems. And I'm happy to do it. We figured out a great system to work within, and I'm excited for the next 5 years.
Look, it's been an amazing story, and finally catching up with you has been worthwhile for us, because we've learnt that the CEO and the founder of Physio Inc. is as advertised. Continued success, keep working hard, and congratulations to Mum and Dad for doing such a fabulous job with young Jonathan Moody. All the very best to you and your partner, and listen, are we seeing more Physio Inc. coming to Melbourne?
Absolutely. So we've got a team of 50 down there now, which is wonderful.
Well,
And
they should
Aaron
reach out
heads
to
up
us. They should reach out to us.
100%. Well, good luck over the next week.
Thank you, my boy. All the very best.
For you too.
Jonathan Moody joining us on The Informer and giving us an insight into not only what makes him tick, but where he believes the health services of tomorrow will need to be.